Hello, this is Ubuntu Gicha. Ubuntu 26.04 LTS was released on April 23, 2026 under the codename Resolute Raccoon. New Ubuntu distributions are released every April and October. Distributions released in April of even-numbered years are LTS versions, and Ubuntu 26.04 LTS provides 10 years of security maintenance support, combining the standard 5 years with 5 years of ESM support. However, ESM support applies only to registered users. If combined with the paid extension of Ubuntu Pro via legacy add-ons, you can receive a total of 15 years of security maintenance support. Let's examine the new features in 26.04 LTS by comparing them to the previous LTS version, 24.04 LTS. The most notable major change in this distribution is the complete removal of Xorg from X window, which now supports only Wayland, and the replacement of GTK3-based applications with GTK4-based applications. Up until Ubuntu 24.04 LTS, the login screen provided an option to select the X window session to use. However, starting with Ubuntu 26.04 LTS, since Xorg has been removed, the option to change the X window session has been replaced with accessibility options. As a significant number of applications still support only X11, the removal of Xorg sessions could cause confusion. This is being resolved by providing an X-Wayland compatibility layer that allows existing X11 applications to run in a Wayland environment. Now that Wayland provides more complete support for NVIDIA graphics cards, the environment no longer requires Xorg sessions. Performance of Windows games running on Proton in Wine and Steam Play has also improved thanks to the new NTSYNC driver, which emulates Win synchronization primitives. A Do Not Disturb menu has been added to Quick Settings. This feature temporarily hides all notifications and is useful when you need to focus on a task or do not want to be disturbed. In the traditional X window system Xorg, windows open from the center, whereas in Wayland they open from the top left. However, starting with Ubuntu 26.04 LTS, this has changed so that windows open from the center even in Wayland. In previous distributions, integer scaling was recommended by default, and fractional scaling had to be enabled to use fractional aspect ratios such as 125%, 133%, and 166%. Now these ratios are supported by default. Startup applications has been removed, and instead, you can now configure whether to auto-start applications on a per-application basis. A well-being menu has been added to settings. Daily usage time is provided in a graph that can be viewed at a glance. If you set a daily limit for screen time limits and enable the gray scale, the screen will switch to gray when the daily time limit is exceeded. You can set eyesight reminders and movement reminders in the break reminders. This will help relieve eye strain and allow you to stretch periodically during long work sessions. A significant number of GNOME applications that transitioned from GTK3 to GTK4 were finally replaced in Ubuntu 26.04 LTS. The first GTK4-based application was GNOME Text Editor, which began replacing the GTK3-based Gedit in Ubuntu 24.04 LTS, and the remaining GNOME applications were finally replaced only in Ubuntu 26.04 LTS. Since developers frequently work in the terminal, the most encouraging thing is that the GTK3-based terminal emulator has been replaced by the GTK4-based Tixis. The image viewer also changed from the GTK3-based Eye of GNOME to the GTK4-based Loop. The PDF viewer was replaced from events to papers. If you select the default selection when installing Ubuntu, the video player will not be installed. If you select the extended selection to install Ubuntu, Showtime, newly built based on GTK4, will be installed along with it, replacing the GTK3-based Totem. As mentioned earlier, among GTK4-based applications, the one I personally find most encouraging is Tixis. It is a modern terminal emulator featuring overlay scroll bars. Tixis also has a feature that changes the color of the title bar based on the status of the task action. If you connect to a remote server via SSH, a blue color is added to the title bar. The default Ubuntu terminal title bar color is purple, but as the blue overlaps, it changes to a color closer to violet. If you execute a task with administrator privileges using sudo, a red color is added. Since the default Ubuntu terminal title bar color is purple, the red overlaps, changing it to a color closer to magenta. I will now install Showtime using apt. With apt3 applied, installation package information is displayed more concisely and intuitively. If you installed Ubuntu with the default setting, Showtime is not included, but you can easily install it via apt or App Center. Core system tools traditionally written in C, C++ have begun to be rewritten in Rust. Sudo has also been replaced by sudo-rs, which has been rewritten in Rust. Sudo-rs provides performance equivalent to the C, C++ sudo while improving memory safety and concurrency safety. New core utils such as ls and cat have also been replaced by utils which are written in Rust. Showtime, which was installed via apt in the terminal, appears as a video player in the application menu. There are also changes to the Nautilus UI. The Yaru icon has been revamped. It has become more concise, and the folder shape with applied accent colors stands out particularly in Nautilus. Desktop folder and cloud-based remote folder icons have also been changed for overall consistency. The sidebar has been re-implemented. Items such as documents, music, pictures, and videos have been moved to the bookmarks list, and their positions can be changed by dragging. Removing items from the bookmarks list is also easy. You can easily add them back to the bookmarks list by dragging and dropping them with the mouse. Showtime is a modern and minimal video player. The backgrounds of the menu and progress bar are transparent, allowing you to watch videos without being distracted. One personal drawback is that it does not provide features to adjust the video aspect ratio or view the video at its original size. The menu and progress bar disappear if the mouse is not hovering over them. When moving forward or backward through frames using the arrow keys, the menu and progress bar are not unnecessarily displayed, allowing for greater immersion in the video. Totem, which was included by default up to Ubuntu 24.04 LTS, was somewhat lacking, so users had to install VLC or MPV. However, the built-in video player is now sufficient. I will now take the current frame as a screenshot. You can click Show in Files to navigate directly to the saved image directory. The image viewer has been replaced by Loop. Although the image size is the same as the video screen size, the display size differs between Showtime and Loop. In the previous Eye of GNOME, images were enlarged to match the desktop screen aspect ratio rather than their actual size on Retina high resolutions. However, since Loop displays images at their actual pixel size regardless of the screen aspect ratio, developers can immediately verify images intended for development at their original size. Image properties have been moved to a separate menu on the title bar, making them more intuitive to use. Of course, this change may not be particularly appealing if you have always preferred the F9 shortcut. Editing features, which were not present in Eye of GNOME, have also been added. As mentioned earlier, since the windows open by overlapping in the center, they may gradually become hidden behind the screen and disappear from view. This change might be somewhat disappointing for those who prefer windows to open slightly offset from the top left like steps. Papers has not only switched to a GTK4-based architecture but also features a more modern and sophisticated UI. The way night mode is handled is particularly refreshing. Most night modes simply invert the colors, causing them to be reversed to their complementary colors. However, Papers additionally rotates the colors 180 degrees to maintain their original hues. As a developer, I was inspired by this approach and am applying it to the processing of light and dark themes. The dialogues features a responsive UI. I will open a text editor to check the dialogues. I will close the window without saving the document I am currently working on to make the dialogues visible. 3 buttons are visible and floating buttons are applied. On a wide screen, the buttons are arranged horizontally. I will press the cancel button, shrink the window, and make the dialogues reappear. On a narrow screen, the buttons change to being arranged vertically. Resources was created to replace the GNOME system monitor as a primary tool for process management and hardware usage monitoring. It is an interesting replacement because Resources is a community tool rather than a GNOME core app. A new security center has been included. It allows you to easily enable or disable a new experimental permission request feature for home directory permissions. Size Professor makes it easier to detect application performance issues. The installer has also been improved. Dual boot systems are supported from the installation stage. If another OS is already installed, you can install it alongside another partition. If Windows is already installed, BitLocker is enabled by default. In this case, you must disable BitLocker to dual boot. Thank you for watching.